Hello everyone and welcome to the Friday of the MotoGP race in Le Mans. Welcome by Australian Motorcycle News. This little video is to update you with what happened today. The Friday MotoGP in Le Mans, always a little bit of a tricky track. So let's start by explaining a little bit about the track, because it seems easy, but it's also very, very difficult. It's a stop and go track, means there's a lot of hard braking upright, hard acceleration upright, and in between are just a couple of fast flowing corners, which made it quite special for the race. It's actually the total opposite of the race we had 2 weeks ago in Jerez in Spain. So not so easy. Like I said, it's easy to crash. And why it's easy to crash? Because look at the statistics. The numbers in Le Mans are terrifying. There's so many crashes always. First of all, that's down to the weather. It's often cold, miserably cold, and more often even wet in Jerez. In the wet, there's always lots of crashes. The other reason is the layout of the track. Let's go to Phillip Island. Very few crashes there. Only like in Miller Corner, MG, the Honda Corner, the slow speed corners you can crash. High speed corners, people lose time, but don't crash so often. First of all, you don't want to. Secondly, on high speeds, everything with the bike happens a little bit more in slow motion. And the 90-degree corners, the slow speed over square corners that we have in Le Mans, so many of them, in the end you dive in there completely over the front tire, and it's 95 km per hour in the end. And if something happens at that speed, it's just immediately gone. It's always the front that goes there. So that's it. It's the layout. It is also the track temperatures. It's usually quite cold in Le Mans, like especially in the morning can be really. This morning we didn't even have 20 degrees Celsius on the track temperature. That's way too low. And the same track can be 10, 15, 20 degrees more in the afternoon, which is confusing for everybody. So yeah, easy to crash. We had 8 crashes today on a Friday. That is in MotoGP. Not super special, but it's already more than enough. And 2 crashes stood out a little bit for me. Ayagura's crashed this afternoon in the practice session, where, as everybody knows, the last 15 minutes is all soft tires in, because you need to be in the top 10 for Q2. He lost it, and he was his crew was very, very unlucky, because the bike was sliding. And let me say it from my point of view. When I was working in the pit box, when you see a rider crash, usually you're not too worried for your rider, because they're okay. You know, when we're on the world stage, the tracks are relatively safe, but it's always the bike you pay attention for, because it makes a huge difference. Every crash is so different. And Ayagura's bike did the worst. This is the nightmare of all the mechanics, because it was sliding and then it gripped and it started tumbling. And every time it tumbles, it hits the ground, it's like 10, 20,000 euro, 10, 20,000 euro, 10, 20. It's unbelievable. And because it hit the ground so hard, then spin around again, hit the track so hard, so then it's really destroying itself. I mean, every tumble you see, wheels, swing arm, forks, triple clamps, the lot. So that's the full-blown nightmare with what happened with Ayagura. So sorry for the team. That's going to be an all-nighter for them for sure. Maverick Vinales, on the other hand, actually later more about Maverick, because he's very, very good here. He was also quite good in Jerez, of course. Vinales had a crash. And by the time he stopped sliding on his ass, he quickly, actually quite nice how before his body stopped sliding, he already was on his feet and ran straight to the barriers, straight to the service road, to a scooter to go back. He didn't even look at his bike. Now, he should have looked, because his bike, on the contrary, was just sliding on one side, never tumbled over. Maybe there was a handlebar bend or a footrest broken, but it was rideable. But he didn't even look at the thing. So yeah, lots of crashes today, and 2 crashes stand out a little bit. But we also have the results, of course. I assume you've seen it. I'll probably see a summary. So you saw Marc Marquez, no surprise, first. Fabio Quartararo second. Pecco Bagnaia third. Marc first is normal. We don't need even to speak about that. Fabio Quartararo second is not normal. In Jerez, he was fast and he was even on pole position. But Yamaha has come from far, and if you do it in Jerez, that's like, okay, nice, but it was always a Yamaha track and a Fabio Quartararo track. You do it in Le Mans? Whoa, hold on for a second. You found something, guys, because the Yamaha in the top 2-3 on Friday in Le Mans is quite special. So yeah, they found something at Yamaha, and what they tell us is so interesting. Yes, they're looking now for 2, 3, 4 years in a row for more power. often found more power. There have been loads and loads of updated engines, and usually it made the bike go slower. Racing is about lap time, not about horsepower. If you want just horsepower, go drag racing. And the most common made mistake is putting more power in an engine, but then it's not drivable anymore. Then the crankshaft's too light, the compression is too high, the feeling for the rider for the throttle and what actually happens at the rear tire is just gone, or is not exactly there where it needs to be. Finally, after all these years, they found a little bit of power. He tells it, yeah, in fifth and second gear I have a little bit more. That's obviously not true. You have the power or you don't have it, but he feels it in fifth and sixth that the thing is still pulling a little bit. So they found something in the engine without losing the beautiful feeling, the nice balance that Yamaha always has, how much feedback you get as a rider. Yamaha is probably the last normal MotoGP motorbike, so I like it. They've really found something. And Fabio Quartararo is just on fire. Really on a special level. Since Jerez, how he's riding is unbelievable. Third place for Pecco Bagnaia, which is where he's supposed to be. P4 Fermin Aldeguer, which is not where he's supposed to be, but Fermin is a rookie in the very good hands of last year's Ducati, which is the best bike on the grid, with Frankie Carcetti, which is probably the best crew chief, or at least the best crew chief for young riders to guide them and help them and prevent them from doing stupid things. So he's doing everything correct, Fermin Aldeguer. P4, really good. Alex Marquez, P5, is almost like, not so special, because it's almost Alex Marquez leading the championship, but he was good, no problem. And he didn't crash on Friday, which is already a step more than he did in Jerez. 6, Jack Miller. On a Yamaha, as Fabio can do it, I can do it as well, he said. So he's close, not as fast as Fabio, but he's immediately in the top 10. I mean, P6 is not nothing. That's really good. First KTM we have in P7 with Pedro Acosta. Good, but yeah, okay, not special. 8, Maverick Vinales. He was supposed to be the first KTM, but like I said, he crashed it, didn't look at the bike, ran to his spare bike. They didn't even have the best type front tire in it and so on, and still put it in the top 10. Maverick Vinales is by far the fastest KTM rider at the moment. Later, a little bit more about him. P9, Franco Morbidelli. Yeah, that's where you have to be if you have a 2024 Ducati and you're Franco Morbidelli. You were already second in the World Championship standing years ago. You're supposed to be at least in the top 10. The last guy in the top 10 is Marco Bezzecchi, which is also the first Aprilia, and that's not enough. The Aprilia is better than that, but Marco is sort of in a hole as self-confidence and feeling goes, so that's it. Who else is standing out? P12 is Johan Zarco. P11 is Luca Marini and 12 is Zarco. These are the first Honda, so no Honda in the top 10, which is a bit of a downer. But Zarco crashed, and he crashed on the worst moment of the whole Friday, with like last 10 minutes to go. That's when everybody put in the soft tire. He was on his first run with his first soft tire and he blew it, and then you're not there. So tomorrow we have a Q1, where 2 people will made it into Q2. You got like 4 candidates for him. I think Zarco, probably Johan Mir, or at least Brad Binder. Brad Binder also has to go. Brad Binder is in a really low place, 19, because he also crashed in the last couple of minutes in qualifying. Now, there's always double bad. If you crash in the last minute of this pre-qualifying or the real qualifying, your time is gone, your bike is usually gone, you don't have a second run, and there's yellow flags. So everybody that was following you can't improve on their times because they're entering a yellow flag zone. So that's why the really good riders, they don't wait for the last 5 minutes to do the all-important lap time. They go a little bit earlier and already have a banker in. If that banker is really super safe, like it was with Marc Marquez, then he throws in another medium tire, not even a soft tire, because he knows I'm already there. That's the thing what I saw today. I explained you guys a little bit about the track. We spoke about the crashes. Another rider that caught my eye, but in a very bad way, is Raul Fernandez, the Aprilia rider. He's already not performing at all this year for an Aprilia. He's an example of a rider that is totally lost for confidence, has no idea what to do, tried everything. Probably also not a very deep thinker, because the funny or ironic thing is, he was telling us on Thursday in the press conference that I have difficulties when I go riding, when I'm racing, everything has to come automatically for me, then I'm fast. As soon as I need to start thinking what I'm doing, I lose my speed. And he said it in a way like, that's a complaint, that's a problem when I need to think. Well, boy, I've got bad news for you. You need to do a lot of thinking on MotoGP. That's the extra challenge that goes after Moto3 and Moto2. what a rider is challenged for in MotoGP is that you do a lot of thinking and can make quick decisions and change your mind. Every bike is different. Every year there are new tires. You change manufacturers. You have to learn to ride a bike again. So what Raul is proving is that he can only be fast if the bike is very simply already automatically suited to him, and otherwise he's completely lost. So bad. Because after he tells us this yesterday that it needs to be like that, he goes out this morning, Friday morning, and in his out lap, so he didn't even make it, he crashed. He crashed in turn 10. If the mechanics forgot to put the tire heaters on, you crash in turn 3 or 4. He made it until 10 and destroyed the bike in the out lap. Whoa. You don't make friends in the team with stuff like that. The good news from today, if you have a chance to watch what happened today or have time to watch Saturday and Sunday races, watch Le Mans and pay attention to Fabio Quartararo. I love the guy for his attitude, for his talent, huge respect, but he found some new fire, some motivation inside him with the old dog, because in the end the Yamaha is sort of an old dog, because they do thousands of updates, but it still looks always the same. It improves, it gets better. He is overriding the thing in a beautiful, beautiful way. You know, just watch Fabio Quartararo riding, and you see probably a guy that is riding unbelievably good on what is still a normal motorbike, not a MotoGP bike. Because it pitches and it slides, it stands out. Beautiful. Yeah, Fabio Quartararo. And he did something very, very clever. I watched him this morning in the free practice session and I'm like, why you do that? Now Le Mans, I hope you have a track map in front of you. The last double right-hander is like the last corner before the start-finish straight. Then there is a long start-finish straight. By the time the guys hit 6th gear, 315 km per hour, they need to go to the curbs on the left side and put it on their knee and closing the gas a little bit. Go down to 4th gear, open it a little bit again, and then brake really, really hard for what is effectively turn 2. So turn 1 is like a really fast kink, like unbelievable. So what the trick is for riders in Le Mans is the last corner is a typical corner where you want to drop the rear ride height. So push the button on the handlebar, drop the rear ride and have a beautiful acceleration. Upright acceleration is so hard with the MotoGP bike because they wheelie and they spin, and with the ride height down you accelerate. But they cannot in Le Mans, because if you arrive in turn 1, 320 km per hour with a bike that is on his ass in the rear, it goes straight into the gravel trap. You don't make it. I saw him dropping the rear ride height 1 or 2 times in the end of the first practice, and I'm thinking, why you do that? And then it became clear. In qualifying, he used it. So he starts qualifying a lap normally, make a super fast turn 1, turn 2, 3, everything. And if he comes to the last corners and he sees on his dash and he feels this was a really good lap, he drops the rear ride height out of the last corner. And after the finish, he immediately closes the gas and brakes. Nobody's behind you. And then he has not the speed that he gets into trouble into turn 1. Really, really clever usage of the whole situation for Fabio Quartararo there. Now a little bit of a word about Maverick Vinales, because he proved that riders can still make the difference in MotoGP. He was always fast in Le Mans. Whether it was Moto3, he did his first win there. Whether it's Moto2, whether it's beating Valentino Rossi when they were Yamaha team, he was just always very, very good. And the KTM at the moment is not very, very good. But Maverick Vinales found with his team a setting already earlier in Qatar by changing the weight a lot of the bike, and somehow he managed to deal with it better than the others. By now, all the other KTM riders are going to the same weight distribution. Whether they like it or not, they need to go there to at least try to be as fast as Vinales. But yeah, Vinales was really, really good. Even with the crash in Q2, he is still already in the top 10. That's cool. There is a little other trick with the rear tires in Le Mans. Like usual, we have a medium and a soft, or a hard and a medium, whatever you call it. We have 2 tires, and the soft tire, obviously, there's only 7 soft rear tires in total for the whole race weekend available. So you need to decide a little bit. You cannot just throw in tires because you want to see the lap time. You have to think about it. And in Le Mans, you need to think about it extra, because in Le Mans, traditionally, you can also use a soft rear tire for the main race on Sunday. Now, 1 for the main race, 1 for the sprint race, 2 for the qualifying. That's already 4 soft tires. You need to have 2 of them at the end of the Friday to make sure you go to Q2. and in Q2 you need another 2. No, so there is not enough of them. You need to be really careful how to use them. Marc Marquez today was already so fast on an old soft tire. He was already with the lap time with the old soft tire, he was already in the top 10. So he put the new one in, made himself whatever, 3 tenths faster than everybody else with the new tire. And then he decided, okay, 2 tires is enough. My other tire is going to be a medium. With that medium, he was also fast enough to be in the top 10. So everybody else was throwing 3 new rear tires in today. 1 at the beginning to do the long run to see how the tire life is. 2 tires to qualify themselves. Not Marc. So Marc is in P1 and he has already a spare, a backup tire, as in case the race gets red flagged. If this race gets red flagged, normally nobody has a spare S, because you have sacrificed all your S's over the weekend just to get there where you are now. Not Marc. Already in Friday, he's got everything under control. That's it. One thing more, if you watch the races, if you watch the videos, pay attention to what I'm just saying. Turn number 1, it's so interesting to see. Because the turn number 1, start-finish straight, like I said, 315, 320 km per hour, 6th gear, they need to put it quickly on the knee on the right. They close, they touch a little bit the front brake, close the gas, touch a little bit the front brake to scrub off some speed, put it on their knee, go down to gear 4, open a little bit the throttle again, and then go really hard braking. Now, like I said, when they brake just a little bit and just close the gas a little bit in 6th gear, the bike gets very unstable. All normal motorbike get really unstable. Race motorbikes need load to be stable. So you're either braking or you're accelerating. Everything in between, there's no stability. There's definitely no stability there on every Yamaha. Usually the Hondas also. The only bikes that look really good in turn 1 every lap are the Ducatis, because the Ducatis are on another level. They look even almost boring. But they're all really fast. So pay attention to how the riders deal, especially the Yamaha riders in turn 1, especially when it's about the lap time. It must be so scary, because if you watch the videos and you see the bike moving a lot, that means for the rider it's moving an unbelievable lot, because you and I, we all made pictures and video of each other and from your mate on the racetrack, and by the time you think you had a big moment, nobody else could even see it. So when you see it on video from somebody, it was a big one. They're having big ones lap by lap. The instability is huge over there. So interesting. Pay attention, because it makes you realize what these guys are going to. Thanks for watching for Australian Motorcycle News, this little video. And tomorrow I will be back with a summary of Saturday and ramble on about that. Have a good day.